3D Realms, a company redefining AAA.
You sure about that?
With games such as Kingpin Reloaded, Graven, and the soon-to-be-released Phantom Fury. These are games developed by 3D Realms' in-house game studio, Slipgate Ironworks, a company my fellow subscribers are well aware of by now. I want to bring attention to this fact because if you look at other games released by 3D Realms that saw mass player positivity and critical reception, Slipgate Ironworks is not the developer. Aeon Fury was developed by Voidpoint, who took this still incredible build engine and pushed it into the modern era. Cultic is a solo project developed by Jasaz Games, a love letter to the game Blood, while also standing out as its own imaginative product. Ghost Runner was developed by One More Level with assistance from Slipgate, though I'm not sure how involved Slipgate was during development, as they, nor 3D Realms, are attached to the sequel. Rip Out, a co-op horror shooter experience developed by Pet Project Games, while not out yet, is garnering quite a bit of attention. There is also the Kindman Remedy, a game I'm not too familiar with, but it is holding a mostly positive score on Steam. Now, why am I mentioning all of these games? Simple. Slipgate Ironworks is displaying the signs of a shovelware development studio banking on retro shooter nostalgia. Before they were Slipgate Ironworks, they were Interceptor, and developed the remake of Rise of the Triad. It is fucking wrong! It was Slipgate's first game as far as I can tell, and could be written off as a solid first attempt from a fresh studio. That was 10 years ago. This is Graven, released a few months ago as of this recording. Now I don't want to harp too much on the studio from a creative angle. The world of Graven is lush with awesome designs and imaginative weapons. The one thing you can certainly say is that the game looks amazing, but it plays clunky. Phantom Fury also looks very good, but plays clunky in the demo. Do you see where I'm coming from when I say Slipgate Ironworks is looking like a nostalgia-baiting shovelware developer? Hell, you could argue everything about modern 3D Realms is nostalgia bait. But I bring this all up because I want to make a point. Slipgate Ironworks develops gorgeous-looking games with eye-catching trailers to bait you, only for the end product to feel janky or outright broken in places. Slipgate has an excellent design team, I have no doubt about that. Programming and gameplay is lacking. And after 10 years, this shouldn't be the case. Which finally brings me to ROTT, Aeon of Ruin. ROTT was first conceived by Killpixel before being picked up by 3D Realms. Soon there was an early access release that really impressed players with its gritty art style and violent Quake-like gameplay. No surprise, seeing as this is run on the Dark Places engine. Full disclosure, I was one of those players and sunk nearly 10 hours playing the early access version over and over. I enjoyed it so much that I went ahead and purchased the Founders Box limited edition physical release.
Missed it by that much.
More on the Founders Box later. Needless to say, there was a lot of hype circulating around ROTT. I even felt it had a good chance to become one of my new favorite first-person shooters. It would have multiplayer, both co-op and deathmatch. The potential for this game to join the upper echelon of modern boom shooters, Dusk, a medieval, Aeon Fury, and others was high, so long as they stayed the course. Which they didn't. I won't go into detail about the controversies surrounding 3D Realms, all of which I've made a video on right here that I do encourage you watch to get the full picture of when things began to spiral out of control. But in regards to ROTT, at some point mid-development, Killpixel, the creative lead for the game, the one whose blood, sweat, and tears were poured into making this next great shooter, suddenly leaves. Following apparent development woes and delays, the full extent as to why he left his project in the hands of 3D Realms is still unknown. However, it is very easy to speculate that Killpixel and 3D Realms were not seeing eye to eye during the course of development, and in an apparent act to preserve his own sanity, the creator let go of his creation, leaving 3D Realms and Slipgate to complete it on their own. The following by now should not be surprising. More delays. A completely missed release window with zero communication as to why until after public outcry. No word on the Founders Box. Then before the final for real release for Wrath, it is stated that multiplayer were being scrapped, meaning the game released as a solo campaign only. After multiple delays, broken promises, hype, the creator departing, the Embracer acquisition, Apogee distancing themselves from 3D Realms, Raven releasing to mixed reception, Wrath had no chance. This much to me is apparent based solely on looking at what Wrath was like during his preliminary early access period compared to the full release. It is also no wonder that Hub World 1, Morning Vale, is the most cohesive and well-rounded of the three hub worlds present in Wrath. It is the world that had the most care and attention put into it, making it, in my opinion, the best section of the game. Hell, even in my first impressions video, I was singing its praises for being a lot of fun, and more or less what I was hoping it would be. My one complaint of Morning Vale, and what would be among my biggest complaints for Wrath as a whole, was the length of time it would take to complete just one level, that being around an hour or more. But after defeating the Hub World boss, the Lady of Ascension, and landing in Hub World 2, the Eventide Wastes, that's when things began to feel a bit Slipgatey for me. Gorgeous structures and level design, but things are feeling out of balance and clunky. Encounters are uninteresting, lending more towards the old step into a room and have hordes of enemies spawn in, not unlike Serious Sam or even Doom Eternal. Rinse and repeat. The charm is wearing thin, and the fun is morphing into a slogfest. You are fighting the same enemies over and over in uninteresting ways, and it gets stale rather quick. And this can be the biggest hurdle any retro shooter must succeed at to make it memorable. That means constructing interesting scenarios with a variety of different enemy combinations, making the player have to understand every battle scenario presented to them. But too many times it's just enter room, random assortment of monsters spawn in, kill them, repeat over and over again. This is even more egregious in Hub World 3, the Wretched Domain. Hub World 3 gave me false hope when I first arrived. Hell levels are consistently some of my favorite locations to play through, and of course, as I've stated, the design and look is just chef's kiss, mwah, gorgeous. But the issues laid out in World 2 are practically intensified here. The only reason why the Eventide Wastes is my least favorite of the three is solely due to how long it took me to beat it, and Hell, or Wrath's version of it, is a more interesting setting. But things really set into place for me, the feeling I've been harboring but not wanting to accept. It all hit me when this happened. I maybe should have mentioned this at the start, but the Shepherd of Wayward Souls could not have been any more obvious the main villain of Wrath unless he just flat out said it from the get-go. I knew he would be the big bad boss of the game, and yet when he morphed into the distant cousin of Oblivion from Turok 3, I realized I really didn't understand the point of anything I was doing. And don't get me wrong, classic shooters don't have much in the way of story, but you can at least understand why you are killing everything in your path. You understand why you are the lone marine on a series of space stations tearing through demons. You understand why you are a ranger passing through slipgates. You understand why you are an elf using magic weapons in a variety of different terrains. You understand why you are a great champion traveling to different realms. And you understand why you are a treasure hunter surviving against eldritch horrors. I do not, by the time I have reached the final boss encounter after 10 hours of gameplay, understand why I did anything up to this point. And I know I am not the only one feeling this way, as you can see many others airing their frustrations out on Steam. What was the point of the Dreadful One having us destroy his minions and the lords of various realms, which in turn make the Outlander stronger and more capable with an arsenal of devastating weapons? What did he think would happen? If the Outlander is capable of destroying gods, while the Dreadful One isn't, then why the hell did he think he could kill the Outlander?
Not a great plan.
It makes not only the final fight feel kind of dumb, but when you beat him, this is what happens.
What the hell was that?
And once the title screen appeared, I just felt as though what little air was left in my sails was quickly taken away. Wrath isn't a bad game, but it is a disappointing one. For everything Wrath had going for it, this should have been a smash success story of a man's dream project being fully realized without interference. We had that with Dusk, and we are currently seeing that with Cultic. So far, at least. I understand that there are players out there that feel Wrath is fantastic, and don't let my own personal opinions of the game affect your own enjoyment of it. But even those players have to be aware of the potential this game had. A potential we almost certainly will never see, as I'm willing to bet 3D Realms will leave it behind after a few updates. Have I mentioned Slipgate has their hands full with multiple prematurely announced games? Oh, and don't think for a second I've forgotten the Founders Box. The Founders Box was announced over 2 years ago and was slated to release alongside Wrath during the initial release window. All these years later, the box is just now being made. What the fuck? Dear viewers, please pardon me as I address 3D Realms directly for a moment. Dear 3D Realms, after all the years of poor communication, broken promises, and delays, why the fuck is the Founders Box not currently in the hands of those that ordered it years ago? You had 2 years at least to get these made, and only now are you getting around to it. Not shipped out, fucking made. What, are you going to delay the pre-orders now too? This is embarrassing. I even go so far as to say shameful. I will never, ever pre-order anything else from you again. I want you all to know, during the script writing of this video, I went through 4 other versions that got scrapped. I just couldn't get a solid review down for Wrath, and I just couldn't understand why. That was until Civvie's video released, which made me happy to see a bigger channel calling 3D Realms out on their bullshit.
AAA, action, attitude, adrenaline,
which I'm sure damaged any ties he may have had with them. But it wasn't the video itself that gave me direction. It was a comment left below by KillPixel himself. I would encourage you to read this over yourself, as I don't want to attempt a paraphrase of it. He doesn't go into specifics about the separation between he and 3D Realms, but he certainly is a humble individual that takes accountability for issues he claims to have been responsible for. But ultimately it shows someone who felt they had to part ways with their own creation due to the turmoil between him and the publisher. This is why I believe Morning Veil is the best experience in Wrath. It was the one he was mostly, if not almost entirely, involved with during production, I speculate. and why World 2 and 3 start to feel like generic boom shoot. I can see in his post that he is saddened by what has become of Wrath, and no doubt saw that great potential it could have achieved. Wrath is a disappointing but solid 7 out of 10 experience that had the potential of becoming a near 10 out of 10 if everything stayed the course. And a quick note, I wagered the levels were designed as big as they were so that they could be played with a friend. That alone would have made it an 8 for me. Now, Slipgate can move on from Kingpin, Graven, and Wrath, and after parting ways with the scourge that is Embracer, they can focus all efforts towards greatly improving Phantom Fury.
No! No!
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I post about boom shoots, metal music, doom stuff, and unfortunately 3D Realms drama. Next video I'll be gushing over a game I'm sure a lot of you don't even know exists. Had the idea after playing Wrath and Graven and thinking it does certain elements better than those games. Again, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all again real soon. Bye.